Okay, so one of the greatest mistakes I see people make when it comes to creating content that attracts your ideal customer, that gets traction, that gets people inquiring and buying from you, is that you're speaking expert lingo. Okay, and it makes your customers feel like, you know, you're just speaking a completely different language and they don't understand you. And it's because that misunderstanding that they're not really connecting. And that's why they're not reaching out, and that's why your content's not creating, you know, traction. But here's the thing, it's actually a really, really simple fix. And again, it's not a bad thing, right? Like as experts, and you know, I'm just as much, you know, guilty of this or can be guilty of this when I don't watch myself, because as an expert, it's just, you know, you spend so much time learning and breathing a certain topic area. Like for me, you know, I love content creation, I love marketing, I love how the human mind works. Like I literally read neuroscience books for fun because that's my world, that's what I'm interested in. I love everything to do with communication. But my client, you know, is very different, and it's the same for you. Like your expert language, you know, if you're talking in that way and if your content is reflecting that without even noticing it, we actually are, you know, not creating a conversation that that person actually feels invited to and feels connected to. So let me give you an example. Like a lot of my clients are relationship coaches, and you know, if I speak to one of my clients and they'll be like, you know, oh, one of the biggest client problems my client has is they don't know how to have open communication in their relationship, right? And that's true, right? Like that's such a huge issue in so many relationships. I think we can all understand that. But the challenge is that, you know, their ideal customer isn't walking around thinking to themselves, oh, I just need to, you know, learn how to have more open communication in my relationship, right? Like that's not what's going through their head. They're either thinking, oh, like, oh God, oh man, I'm just such idiots. I hate my husband. He's such an asshole. Do you know what else is going through their mind, right? And this is going to be slightly different depending obviously on what kind of, you know, exact person that person is, you know, serving. And again, this is why when I'm working with my clients, it's not that I'm coming up with the answers for them. I just know what questions to ask them to actually get to the information they already know. And you can do the same for yourself as well. So I want to share with you some questions that you can really ask yourself and check yourself on to make sure that you're not speaking in your expert language, but you're actually speaking in your customer's language. So they literally feel like, oh my God, she totally gets what my problem is. Like, because if you just, you know, address the problem in the way that somebody really feels understood, they immediately, without even having to offer them a solution, will be like, she must have the solution, right? Because she knows my problem so well. Okay, so this is so powerful. And like I said, one of the biggest mistakes I see, you know, 9 out of 10 times is the reason why people's content isn't really connecting with their customers. So this is how you do it. This is how literally the questions that I will ask my clients to get to, you know, the real, to make sure that they're not speaking expert language, but they're speaking their customer's language. So one of the greatest things that you can do to start off with is to just kind of think about what is one of the biggest pain points that my customer has, right? So again, let's take the relationship example. Like let's say it's open communication. If it's open communication, you know, that's, like I said, not the thoughts that are going through in that person's head. The thoughts are going to be more like, oh my God, I can't believe he's, you know, so annoying. Why does he have to always be like this? And, you know, why is he such an idiot? And again, you can riff and raff. So again, I allow my customers to really riff. They know their customers best. They know what kind of customers they can best serve and which ones they want to attract. So it's really about focusing the exact language that they're, you know, thinking in their heads. Another way to approach it is to kind of think about what behaviors would they be doing, right? Like what kind of emotions are they feeling? And really enter that person's, you know, world and think about the things that they're doing. And again, every time, and you're just catching yourself, and this is something that I do, which is you're going to have to do for yourself, is catching ourselves when we're talking in expert language. So sometimes I'll ask one of my clients, like, you know, what are some of the things they would be doing? And they'll be like, oh, well, they'll be self-sabotaging. Again, self-sabotaging that's coaching language, right? You know, I use that terms as well, but that's not the same as somebody would be thinking. Like the actions, that's where we want to be a bit more specific. So what kind of self-sabotaging things would they be doing? Would they be, for example, you know, not really showing up for a date, or would they be, you know, nitpicking at their partner all the time, or, you know, not really saying what they want, but just then getting frustrated, right? Like those are very specific things. So that's where we really want to make sure we're going into the very specifics. that we're moving away from, the expert language that we create, and getting very specific with the scenarios and getting very specific with the thoughts and the feelings that they would be having and experiencing. It really is about getting out of your own experience of what it's like to be an expert and entering your customer's experience, because it's when you use that language, that's what's going to attract, and that's what makes content so magnetic and attractive, and where you have people reaching out to you. Because like I said, if you can address the problem, and really, this is really about empathy. It's about showing you understand where your customer is at. And I know, again, this is why all my clients, they say they are not great content writers. They know, they say, oh, I'm not very good at selling, but they are the best, because it's literally just about getting that information out. And like I said, switching those gears. So I hope if this is something that, if you're struggling with your content and you're not attracting and getting traction the way you want, try this for yourself. Really go and ask yourself these questions. Make sure you're being specific. Make sure you're entering your customer's world and you're using their language, not yours, and catch yourself with it. And see how you go with creating content from that place. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear any questions that you have. And if you love this video and you want to see more kind of trainings like this, make sure that you join our Facebook group. If you're part of the Facebook group, you can take any of this content as well and show up, so you can get some feedback from me or the community. And if you want some more inspiration and entertainment through my stories, make sure that you're following me on Instagram at Jen_Rotman. And other than that, I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate you, and have a beautiful time until I see you next.